Morning, everybody. Welcome to special meeting for the Corporation of Township Minden Hills, Thursday, April the 16th. On Tuesday, April 14th, the township declared a state of emergency due to the flood conditions and the escalating impacts to our community and infrastructure. The township has placed self-serve sand and sandbags at the Minden Curling Club parking lot and in Irondale, 1004 Line Drive Road. You need to bring a shovel to fill the bags, but we ask if possible, please help your neighbors, friends, and families with sandbags. We are updating the road conditions as we become aware of issues. Our Emergency Operations Center is active and we are meeting regularly. As a matter of fact, sometimes multiple times a day. The township has regular meetings with MNR and Parks Canada that highlight the continual monitoring of the water levels. Visit our website for the latest updates or on our social media. Unfortunately, the AED ceremony event for today is canceled due to the flooding in the area. And because of the dynamic nature of the flood and how quickly things are changing, we will be removing some items to abbreviate today's agenda. Quick, you have the items that were
Through the Marys. Yes, I do.
okay. Go ahead.
Can I go ahead
Yep.
with the approval of the agenda or do you
Yep.
want to go through?
Yep.
Because we usually do a call of order. Do you want to
All
do a
right,
call
good.
of order first?
Sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
it's
call
okay.
to order.
Counselor Sisson,
Present.
Counselor Saney,
Present.
Counselor McKelvey,
Present. Present.
Counselor Ingram,
Present.
Present.
Present. Please go with the. Yes. I used to know this whole script. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Minden Hills is located on Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which are Curve Lake, Rama, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. We acknowledge the shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original Indigenous inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. I call this meeting to order at 9:02 a.m.
So the agenda is amended as follows. So moved by Counselor Ingram, seconded by Counselor Saney. Be it resolved that the April 16th, 2026 special council meeting agenda be approved with the following amendments to include a 3-minute report item delegation by Mr. Dennis Penny related to report 2615 planning consent pre-consultation 1436 Clear Lake Road, and to remove item 9 correspondence and communications, item 10 quarterly reporting, item 11, which is Mr. Gary Dyke's delegation regarding exploring the future of Halliburton County and affordability and governance structure study. Number 16, report 2607, Community Services Department for the 12-mile columbarium. 19, report 2616, Administration Corporate Resources Policy 116.
All in favor? That is carried.
Council members are asking why it's being abbreviated, so maybe we could just give an explanation to the public too, because they obviously wouldn't know as well.
Well, basically because as I said, the dynamic nature and how fast things are moving, we have a emergency management group that needs to meet probably, hopefully around 10:30 because we have some decisions that have to be made today. Last night there was a meeting that went on until 9 something or 8 something, and we have to open up our community center and arena for shelter, getting in beds and so on. So there's lots that has to be done relating to the flood. So none of the items that we're taking off is of urgent nature. So we'll move on. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, We have the first delegation. Mr. Penny, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record and then can go.
Dennis Penny. My address is 1436 Clear Lake Road. How about now? Is it- Okay. So the reason I'm here today is May 21st, 24, we put an application in for a severance of our property. The purpose was for our children to move up and have a place of their own. We're now into the end of April 26, and we just discovered now that we cannot sever the property because we're considered backlot waterfront. So I just hope this will help people in the future. There was no checklist to tell us that. So we've been 2 years, spent a small fortune going through all this. And basically, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
If I could just have a mover and a seconder, council, just to acknowledge the delegation.
Councilor Ingram, Councilor Singh.
So moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Saini, that council receives a report delegation from Mr. Dennis Penny regarding report 2615 planning consent pre-consultation 1436 Clear Lake Road.
Those in favor? That's carried. Adoption of minutes from March 26th. Any comments or amendments from council? Seeing none, please read the resolution.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Shell, seconded by Councillor McKelvey, that council approves the March 26, 2026 regular council meeting minutes.
All those in favor? That's carried. Do we have payments? Okay. So it's just for interest. All right, so we go directly down to planning and development. So we have people joining us virtually. Are you? Yeah. Okay. You can start when you're ready, if you can hear us.
Through you, your worship, thank you. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Okay, and we're having some audio difficulties here.
Okay.
Try again.
Maybe if I get a little closer and speak a little louder, is that helpful?
Not rarely.
Okay. Let me see. Is this better?
It's getting, I've just lost our clerk who was, okay, we're just getting IT to look at it right now.
Diana, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm wondering if it's the volume. Can you speak a little louder?
Sure. Can you hear me?
You turned up the volume at your end?
Yes. I'm wondering if it's my speaker. Does this speaker help?
You're still very
Very
quiet.
low.
Do you have a headset?
How about now?
That's
That's
better.
better.
I think we can manage. You might just have to raise your voice a little bit. Thank you, Diana.
Raise your voice and get as close to the microphone as you can.
Okay, I'll get in real close. Apologies for my face being completely in the frame. Um, is this helpful? Can you hear me better like this?
Yep, please proceed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Through you, your worship. The report in front of you today is with respect to a pre-consultation for consent to sever a new lot located on lands in part lot 15, concession 5, geographic township of Lutterworth, municipally known as 1436 Clear Lake Road. The severance would serve to create one new residential lot in addition to the retained. I will provide a very brief summary of the main points from the report and then be available for questions from council. The proposed severed lot is located within the waterfront designation, and based on official plan policies, backlots are not permitted within this designation unless they are also designated rural. The proposed severed lot does not meet this requirement. The official plan also provides that lots should be reasonably well proportioned, of regular shape and dimension. The subject property is already in a regular shape, which is further compounded by the proposed severance. In addition, as proposed, the severed parcel encroaches onto the existing driveway, which provides access to the rear portion of the property, which would form part of the retained parcel, effectively eliminating access to this area. Furthermore, the proposed severance will turn a compliant lot into two non-compliant lots, which creates deficiencies as it relates to the lot area and frontage in the zoning bylaw. The application does not appear to conform to the official plan or comply with the zoning. Given the foregoing, the application is not recommended for approval, and I am available for any questions from council at this point. Thank you.
Council, questions? Councilor McKelvey?
So as Mr. Penny indicated when he was speaking earlier, he started this in May of 24. I started talking to Dennis and Lori about this last year. And I have copies of some emails. One of which was in July of 24, talks about, and this is from DM Wells. It talks about the shape of the property not being perfect rectangle or square, I guess, whatever they were looking for. At that point, one of the items listed in this email was, we recommend amending your application to create a more rectangular parcel. There's a lot of other stuff I won't bore you with, but somewhere in this report, they say they don't even know what the use of this is going to be. It's been very well documented in several emails that the proposed severed lot is to be transferred to a family member to be used as their home. At no time do I see in several of these emails about backlot development. This one, I'm trying to look, September of 24, blah, blah, blah. According to discussions, we are recommending that you revise the sketch to have the northern boundary of the proposed sever lot parallel to the existing lot at blah, blah, blah. Additionally, we recommend that the severed lot frontage lot be reduced to 60 meters and the lot area be approved at 0.62 hectares. As a result, the proposed severed lot will be a more regular shape, and proposed severed and retained lots will have sufficient lot frontage and area to meet the minimum requirements of the zoning bylaw. I'm well aware that we have a very strong backlot development policy in our official plan. That's a no starter for anybody wanting to sever property within 300 meters of a lake. I have no idea why 2 years later, he finally finds out that, oh, by the way, backlot development will mean your lot can't be severed. Why would this not have been caught at the very, very beginning of this very lengthy, costly process for these people, trying to put a house up for their family? I'm really, really struggling with what we have put this family through. And while I can appreciate the backlot development policies of our official plan make this very difficult, I'm very disappointed that pre-consultation didn't flag this issue within 2 weeks of his first application. And I would like an understanding of that. And I would also like an understanding of why Michelle at DM Wills didn't realize that we have backlot development policies that are pretty strong in our official plan, and didn't flag this during any of these comments where she's recommending you do this, or I'm recommending you do that. And here we are, thousands of dollars later for this family, and they don't have a lot to build on so that they can continue to work and contribute to our community. This is appalling. And I'd like some answers.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I can't speak to the comments that DML staff has made.
Through Mr. Mayor, I can't speak to the full history of that, and I'll allow Diana to speak on DML's behalf, in terms of what is appropriate. I would offer that although perhaps it should have been caught earlier, it was eventually determined through an original pre-con report that was supposed to come to council, which was requested by the property owner to be held back for alternative consideration. During that period of time, there were discussions with the property owner about the issues with supporting a consent, but they opted to move forward with a planner in this case. So I don't think it's not that it's been going on for 2 years and they're only just finding this out. This was brought to attention earlier, perhaps not as early as should have been, but this isn't the first discussion of it.
DM Wills?
Thank you, through you, your worship. So this is not a linear process. There are a lot of policies that you consider when you are reviewing an application. And the backlots is one of the policies. It is not the policy. The issues that we were having in the beginning is the submission that we received did not clearly identify the measurements and the lot area. So we were trying to support the applicant to get more clear and consistent information, so we understood what we were working with and can provide a more robust and accurate response. So one of the policies in the official plan, which is heavily considered when reviewing severances, is whether or not a lot is of a regular shape. That is a very minimal requirement to meet, and this application could not even meet that requirement. So we were trying to get through all the policies that were obstacles and from a planning perspective in order to support the application. So while we discussed all of the policies, the main issue was the property as proposed further compounds the issue of creating an irregular shape. So we didn't even get to really go through all of the policies because we were already saying no based on that. The application didn't move forward because the applicant decided to go with a planner, which obviously was a recommendation that we supported because we wanted to have someone to help them through the process. But again, that wasn't mentioned. So when this actually finally came to council, we were able to then assess all of the policies against the application. So, further to what Ms. Doherty said, this is not a surprise. It's just we have to go through each of the policies because you have to be able to conform to all of the policies. So when you can't conform to the minimum policy, you're definitely not going to start meeting all the other requirements. So it, like I said, is not a linear process. There's a lot of policy to go through. And there were a lot of exchanges and iterations of what the applicant was proposing to do. So it's not a surprise. It didn't come out of nowhere. It was just the nature and the structure of trying to get the application through the policies that were in the official plan. Thank you.
Well, I certainly can, oh. Yeah, so, I appreciate the applicant's, comments and concerns. I appreciate the questions from council. And I think this is an example of a file where I would like to take it away and do a little bit of a review. And this is one of the reasons why we propose to council to do a development application review. I think there are things on applicant side and certainly internally that we can improve. We were to have a meeting with our consultants this afternoon, but for obvious reasons, we've had to push that off to next week. But I think, Mr. Mayor, if we want to do, I think Amanda might want to say something, but I think we can deal with the application and then the process to get here. And I think to Councillor McKelvey's point, some of the costs we can go away and review.
Through Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to, a few items. One, that, along the lines of what Ms. Kay was providing, although we do have strong backlot development policies, one of the things that we are always reviewing in the context of a pre-con for consent is whether an official plan amendment could be supported. So it doesn't mean that backlot development policies couldn't be supported through an official plan amendment. When we're dealing with other questions, though, it's difficult to assess that. It is very difficult to assess an application when we have incomplete information. As well, I don't think that there is a single planner, and probably anyone who's gone through the consent process within the county, that wouldn't agree that it is a difficult process the way that it is currently set up. And that's just the way that it is at present. We are certainly working on that, not just ourselves, but our other counterparts and municipalities, as well as the county, to improve this process for sure. And then that comes into the development approvals process. Beyond that, I think at this point in time for this file, it's been reviewed. DM Wells has the information that they need to make this full assessment. This is based on policy and it's certainly up to council how council would like to proceed with this, but this is the report before council today. I don't think whatever's transpired in terms of timeline doesn't change what's in the pre-con today. So I think subject to council's review of that, you could certainly make a decision on the pre-consultation itself, if you're comfortable with that.
Councillor Saini.
Yes, thanks for everybody's input. And I want to particularly thank Mr. Penny for bringing this forward for everybody. I don't know of any backlot developments that we've had on our lakes. Myself, I don't know of any. This has been a pretty well strong part of our official plan to protect our lakes. And that's why it's there, is to protect our lakes. So everybody who is buying property on the lakefronts, they should know that at the time of buying. They should know that very early in the process, instead of getting caught up in the planning and the costs and the expectations that we're sending, in this case, Mr. Penny and his family through, or any other family to go through this process. It is excellent that we're providing a study to make sure that this doesn't happen again and how we can expedite things and come up with clear answers. But when we're getting into the official plan, we're looking at the lake health as well. And that's why we have this particular amendment, is to protect our lakes at this point. And that's something that people should be able to understand within the planning when they buy several acres on the lakefronts. So I'm really pleased that this was brought before council for education of the public to know this and why we have this policy. And it's a shame that we've got now a family who's in a predicament of how they proceed financially and with their long-term plans for their family. So hopefully we'll have further discussions with this and find some resolve. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. Yeah, great that it's going back. It's just too bad that we're having to use one person as an example to make a correction on something we should have caught. According to these emails too, it would appear that, you know, Mr. Penny was told to get or suggested to get a planner so that he could understand things, even after DM Wills and we knew that you couldn't do block lot development. So that's a little disappointing in that wasn't dealt with differently. I have lots more I want to say on this, but maybe we let it go back and see what happens. But yeah, completely unfair. And I think that the township should be looking at what cost is put to Mr. Penny unnecessarily for this item.
Councillor Sisson.
Yes, I agree, Reverend Marshall. I mean, if this was led to believe it was going to happen and it didn't happen, I think there should be a refund of some sort. And let's not take any more Mr. Penny's money from now on. Like, we're going to look into this at no further cost to him. Thank you.
Councillor Johansson.
I absolutely agree with the other counselors. While reading this, I was very confused. I'm not educated enough to understand everything, but I was confused when I saw, like, it says it does not appear. Wouldn't it be better to say, I don't know, to phrase it some other way? And I'm wondering if the 300 meters from the lake, when did that come into effect? 'Cause I don't, I'm pretty sure it was less when we bought ours or when we built ours. The other thing, he's got a lot going on here with the wetland and hazardous and stuff. Yeah, I would hope that in future people can know what they're going into before they decide to buy. It's beginning. Thank you.
Through Mr. Mayor, I can try to answer those in terms of things like what's on the property, like wetlands and things like that. Unfortunately, we don't have control over what goes into real estate ads, for example. And so it depends on whether or not individuals inquire of the township, and we don't always have the information available to us either. It just, I agree, it would be great for people to be able to have more information about properties when they're buying them, but we don't always have that. Unfortunately, the does not appear is just a normal planner speak terminology, which we are certainly trying to work towards clarifying and making more easily accessible to the general population. The 300 meters, I don't know how long it's been in effect. It's certainly been in our official plan as long as at least the current official plan has been in place. So 2014, I want to say. The 300 meters was a area of influence that was determined by MNRF when they were doing lake capacity studies. That's where that number comes from. And it's been integrated into not just Minden's official plan, but many official plans across the province for sure.
Councillor McCall.
So I totally agree. We have to protect our lakes. The most important thing we have responsibility to do here. However, in this particular case, I don't know if anybody actually went out on the ground, but you can't see Clear Lake from this property. I had no idea it was even close. The property in question is so close to the 300 meters, and it's also, the lake is over here. There's a road, and the septic for this would be downhill. There's no way that septic is going to influence Clear Lake. I thought in the official plan there was some wiggle room for something like that, but it may very well include another expensive study, and I just not sure that we can't look at this differently. I'm personally prepared to support this application. But I know that when you're gonna get an application for rezoning, you're gonna say it doesn't comply with the commercial plan at that point, so you're gonna give it to him again, basically. So, he needs to be very forewarned that even if council today decided to disregard the recommendation, he's gonna have roadblocks ahead of him from the planning department. So you can take it back and bring it back the next day, next meeting, and give us another update, but I just am appalled that this has happened to us. You know, once again, here we are trying to get houses built, and you need lots to do that.
Okay, so we have two separate issues here. One is the whole process, and the other issue is this, particular file. As you said, no matter how you take it away, the file is going to come back with the same recommendation from planning. I agree with the CAO that we take a look at our whole process and look at this, everything that's taken place with this particular process. But then we still have the issue on the recommendation. So I think I would propose that, yes, we look at the process and look at everything that's happened on this additional file, and then we separately look at the recommendation vis-a-vis the backlot development. I know that I myself am caught in that 300-meter conundrum, even though I'm a long distance from the lake also, but it is something that MNRF came up with, and then we somehow put it into our plans. And so it is what it is. So do we proceed as two motions here? One to deal with the recommendation, and then obviously the one to do a review is it's just an instruction to staff. Motion, sir.
Okay, so are you going to defer the application though? Is that my understanding? No, you're not going to. You're
I
going
think
to
we-
read it as is
Yeah.
for the first motion. I just want to make sure I'm clear with the direction. So you're going to read the motion as is,
Okay.
and decide on that. Is that what you're doing? Correct. That's what I'm asking. Okay. And then the second motion
Yes, instruction
to review
staff to review
processes.
the process, in particular this process.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, we already have direction to do a development application process review. That is actually wrapping up shortly. My thought on that is, as part of that process, this is an example. So I don't know that we need specific direction on that. I think what this is highlighting is this is an example of that review.
Yeah, I think that it's in fairness to the applicant here, we should, review what we've caused them to hardship and expense.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Councilor Sandy?
I'm questioning if a better motion would be just to defer this right now, because it sounds like if this is a possibility in terms of lake effect or whatever, then we don't have that information. So do we want to defer this, or do we want to vote yay or nay? Thank you.
Planning?
Through Mr. Mayor, certainly it's up to council whether you want to defer a decision on the pre-consultation report itself. But as I mentioned, I don't think at this point there would be any changes to that report. Any of the information here that was necessary to come up with this determination for policy is here. Anything regarding the actual, timeline, for example, would not have a bearing on this. This is a policy-based professional planning opinion.
I'm trying to be clear in my own thinking on this too. If in fact this is a backlot situation that doesn't have that lake effect, like I understood from another counselor, but we don't have the expertise here, that septic system, et cetera, would not be an issue for Clear Lake. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know the science behind that. So that's why I'm suggesting if this is a unique situation in that way, do we just defer it or do we say yea or nay? That's my concern. Thank you.
Through Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that clarification. And I don't know if Ms. Kay would have anything to add to that, but I think what we were trying to explain before is that it's not just the backlot development. There are other policies here that in its totality, it's not seen as being supportable. Like that is one of the issues, but there are other issues here. It wouldn't just be a matter of, if it had been just about addressing the backlot development, then we might have, or the report might have looked at that, whether that was supportable, but because there were other issues at play, that was not contemplated. So again, I'm not sure that would be part of it. And then the recommendations, should council decide to go forward with it, that's sort of been worked in that way where they would require an official plan amendment. So I think it's already been dealt with through the context of the report, but.
Councilor McKelvey.
So in the report, the planners are not recommending approval. And I believe that's what the resolution is going to be. Also in the report, it talks about subject to approval of a consent application, the conditions as provided below are recommended to the county. So if we as council decide that we want to support this, these conditions in here would be part of that approval. Now, nowhere in those conditions does it show amendment needed, but I'm pretty sure you're going to do that when they have to do a reason. I also don't feel environmental impact study should be done on retained lands. It's there now. I don't see where that area of property is impacting proposal to subdivision. If you need to bring it back so that it's worded that council does support it, or we'll put it to a vote, the resolution that says we don't support.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So just to clarify, under the recommendation section, the first two paragraphs speak to the need for an official plan amendment and what would be recommended to form an official plan amendment in order to support a consent. And then that list of recommendations would be specific to a consent. So it's sort of outlined official plan amendment first, then consent with the conditions. I'd also it could be amended simply to say that if, depending on the decision of council, that council has a different, would like to endorse it. It does not change the planning opinion that's within it, because this is a report, a planning opinion that's been prepared by the professional planner in this case. So it would have to be amended to say that council endorses it with these particular conditions.
Okay. I think that there's too many nebulous things here. There's too many things that are not clearly understood. So I'm going to suggest we defer everything and we bring it back.
Through Mr. Mayor, if I can just clarify, if it's being deferred, I would need to understand what we're deferring to do. Because if the pre-consultation report was approved as written, then there's no change. If council wants to endorse the consent, then that would be what would come back, but without knowing the collective thought of council, I wouldn't know what to be bringing back, or nor would DM Wells. Sorry, just like.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure that everybody is has fully absorbed everything to make a informed vote. That's my concern. Councilor McKelvey?
Can you look at this file in a very short period of time, and I realize we're all busy right now. But- And try to see a way to allow it as opposed to always say no, I guess. And I think there's ways around the OP, but like, so basically if council says we want to see this law created, we're not going to be able to see our staff report come back and say, okay, we've worked with it, we've come up with this way of getting this approval.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So, Mr. Mayor, if I can jump in, I mean, one of the things that we've been working on over the last couple of years is we take our planning applications and I mean, we are taking a, can we make this happen approach in a lot of cases. The challenge is what planning staff are asked to do is review policy against an application. Sometimes the root of the issue is the policy, not, how it's being viewed. My thought, Mr. Mayor, is if council, I'll defer to our manager of planning. If council is looking for a way to make this happen, planning staff have put their position on the table. Council can endorse that or not, right? And so if you want to, I think Ms. Doherty was saying, if you want to endorse the pre-consultation application, that's fine. But give staff that direction. Like I'm not sure that going away and reviewing the planning staff have reviewed against policy and brought you a report. You can agree with it or not.
Okay. Let's go forward with the motion. Yep.
Moved by Deputy Marshall, seconded by Council McKelvey, that council receive report 2615 planning as information, and that council does not recommend approval of the application for the lot creation from lands identified as 1436 Clear Lake Road to the County of Halliburton Land Division.
Just clarify what the ayes would be here.
You need,
So everybody.
are you asking for?
I'm not asking for a report, I just want everybody to know that if they say aye, what are they agreeing to?
There,
So,
yeah, he's gonna call the question, which means,
so
yeah.
It's just, if I may, it's pretty simple. So if we vote no against this, we are saying that we do not agree with what staff has recommended.
Well, yes.
So if he
If we
says,
do, we say, yes, we recommend that it's the lands identified or not approved.
Okay. All those in favor? So it's defeated, motion is defeated.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we'll turn to Ms. Doherty now. I think there was an alternate recommendation with some conditions. Is that what you're thinking now?
Through Mr. Mayor, so yes, outlined in the pre-consultation report is a recommendation if the application is endorsed by council. It would be the professional planning opinion that there is an official plan amendment prior to there being a consent application. And then there is a list of recommendations for the consent application.
Okay, so you take it away or have you received?
So I suppose the question would be whether or not council agrees with the list of recommendations on page 6 of the report.
it's right at the very bottom, council. Well, it's pretty much the whole page. Oh,
Yes, sorry. So the recommendation is that an official plan amendment would be required to permit the lot creation. The reason being that where a lot creation or a consent application does not conform with official plan policy, the consent authority, being the county of Halliburton, is not to make a positive decision on a consent that does not conform to an official plan. So in that case, the official plan amendment would be required first, and it's being recommended that a site evaluation report and environmental impact study, which are outlined in official plan policies, would be required in order to address the policies with respect to the wetland as well as backlot development. And subject to approval of that official plan amendment, then they would be able to apply for consent. That's based on the way the policy works.
I've done, my math's terrible. So it's 300 meters is the current, just for the backlot portion. What is this lot then? What is it in meters? What's it within or short of?
So just beyond where the proposed severance, like lot severance, there's
the
new
new
lot
building.
would be the rural. So it's right at the back end of.
No, I understand that, but so it has to be 300 meters. How much short are we of being the 300 meters?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know that it would be able to accomplish that.
So. Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess Mr. Penny can't speak because he has the answer.
All right. So I think we have to take this away. Go from there and decide whether or not the official plan amendment now requires obviously some investment because there are a number of things that have to be done. I guess it's up to the applicant whether they proceed.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, essentially.
Councilor McKelvey.
Problem I see in that is that the planning report is saying they won't support it. So they have already predetermined they will not support an official plan amendment. So, but personally, I would caution Mr. Penny spending this because they're coming up against a block wall. What I'm concerned about is that we have to stop block walls. There has to be a way that people can get better information there.
We already decided that we have a review of the process and we're going to try to do that.
I just think we need to figure out if this council today wants to force them to do an official plan amendment to get this out. And that may require some more information back from planning to outline what all is the problem. How close is this? Does it meet the standard in the official plan that does have some grace area?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, what I'm hearing is council needs some additional information in order to determine how best to move forward. If council can, other than distance, you know.
Through Mr. Mayor, I just to offer, and as our CEO has already said, when we're reviewing these, our intention is not to create blocks for people. We always look at, is there a possibility? Sometimes the policy as it is written does not allow for those possibilities. And so our next step is always, is there a way to amend that policy? Is there a way to support it? Or is there a way for what's being proposed to be slightly shifted or adjusted so that those policies are no longer relevant or of an issue? I think at this point, although we can certainly bring back more information, we've looked at all of those avenues. DM Wells has looked at all of those avenues and have not come up with a scenario in which we can see support for the application. And if there is support for such an application, it would require technical studies in order to demonstrate that that makes sense, given the policy that's in place. So again, we can bring something forward, but I'm not sure that it would say much else than what's already in front of council right now. But happy to do so if that is of assistance to council, and Mr. Penny in terms of what would be looked at for an official plan amendment.
Okay, so we'll get some information. Upcoming meeting. Mr. McKelvey?
Well, we need a resolution here, and if that's what it's gonna do, is that what you're doing? So I'm thinking we do need a resolution that would outline what's going to be required. That's difficult because you do speak planning speak, and I get that. But if you could put it in layman's terms for the rest of us, what exactly would be required to even process an official plan amendment and the cost? But I don't want to wait 6 months for this. I want to put Mr. Penny's family in business first. Like, I don't know, given the situation we're under, if it's reasonable to say we want it at the next meeting, but could we say the first meeting?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can aim for that, yes. Certainly not the next meeting, but
Okay.
the one after.
May 8th. Minutes.
Fair enough.
Is that going the resolution then?
To clarify then, the council directs a planning report outlining official plan amendments for
And
backload.
requirements.
But that's what I was just saying, relating to report. No, that's what I'm saying, sorry, to be clear. So that council directs a planning report outlining official plan amendments and back property relating to, and
I
I'm just
think-
gonna put the application.
I think you could, just for simplification, I'll take out some planner speak and just say, just say requirements for an official plan amendment.
Outlining requirements for an official plan.
Plan
Amendment.
Yeah,
An OPA and the associated costs.
so that council directs a planning report outlining official plan amendments and associated costs. That's all.
Seconder.
I have to, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Counselor Ingram, Counselor Samey.
Moved by Counselor Ingram, seconded by Counselor Saney, that council directs a planning report outlining official plan amendments and associated costs.
All those in favor?
That's what I had asked, if I could put, with respect to the application. I had said that and I was told no, so. Yeah. Right, right. So everything would be the same, including with regard to application 1436 Clear Lake Road.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next. Volunteer fire department.
Through the chair, this report is in regards to an ENR bylaw 2624. So the fire chief provided report 26003 Swiftwater Rescue to council at its March 26, 2026 meeting. Council directed staff to provide an amending bylaw to the next meeting, removing the Swiftwater Rescue from the bylaw. So there are two sections in the bylaw that pertain to Swiftwater Rescue. Section 5C, which is levels of service, and Schedule A, Emergency Response Services, Item 9. So the amending bylaw attached in the agenda package indicates the removal of both of these sections should council pass the bylaw.
Councilor Ingram.
Through you, Mayor, should we not be discussing, I'm just curious because it didn't get brought up, how many people we want to train at this? Because it's fairly expensive ongoing training to keep them certified. So I'm wondering if we should limit how many, because this, whether you use that equipment, I'm not going by anything we've read. I have a person I know. They have to be replaced if they haven't even been worn. That's just the rules. So I'm we don't want to get 25 suits and then, have to replace 25 suits again.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
through you, Mr. Mayor, my understanding is, and I can confirm this, but we're not looking at any more than about 8 right
Okay.
now.
That's
But I
what,
can
yeah,
conf-
that's perfect. Okay, thank you.
Just to further that though, would it be beneficial for council to have a fulsome report? What it costs, what's the time frame? What are we thinking for training for water ice rescue? Like this, it's not really that this bylaw rescinds the bylaw, which is what we wanted. So it amends the bylaw to take it out. That part I'm fine with, but I think Councilor Ingram has a good point. Do we really know? I don't think we do. So should we?
Yep.
Can I just make a suggestion that we deal with this motion and then if council wants to consider that aspect, then is that okay if we?
Yes.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Saini, that council receives report 2619 administration amendments to bylaw 2624 that establish and regulate the volunteer fire department for the corporation of the Township of Minden Hills is information, and that council concurs with the amendments and directs bylaw 2640 to the bylaw section of the agenda for approval.
All in favor? That's carried. We take everything else under advisement because I'm not going to give the fire chief another task. Right. See how long this takes to get through all this. All right, we go to closed session. We say we go closed session at 10:05.
So that's okay. I didn't know if there was another
No.
motion that had to,
No.
okay. Moved by Councillor Saini, seconded by Councillor Johansson, be it resolved that council proceed into closed session at 10:05 a.m. for the purpose of discussing the following. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(c) of the Municipal Act as amended regarding proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, acquisition of land, and one item pursuant to section 239(2)(f) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Legal opinion.
All those in favor? That is carried. See you at 10:05. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so we go back into open.
Moved by Counselor McKelvey, seconded by Counselor Sisson, be it resolved that closed session adjourned and open session resumes at 10:22 a.m.
All those in favor? That is carried. Report from closed session.
Moved by Counselor Sisson, seconded by Counselor McKelvey, be it resolved that the direction given in closed session be approved.
All those in favor? That is carried. Bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Saney, seconded by Counselor Ingram, be it resolved that bylaw 2640, amending bylaw 2624 to establish and regulate the volunteer fire department for the corporation of the Township of Minden Hills be received, read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed.
All those in favor? It's carried. Confirming bylaw.
Moved by Deputy Marshall, seconded by Counselor McKelvey, that bylaw 2641 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council held during a special meeting of April 16th, 2026, be received, read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed.
All those in favor? That is carried. Adjournment.
Moved by Counselor McKelvey, seconded by Deputy Marshall, be it resolved that the April 16th, 2026 special meeting of council is hereby adjourned at 10:23 a.m.
All those in favor? That is carried. All right, everybody, check our website, check our social media, keep informed and stay safe and stay dry.